Morning.
Yes, hi, this is Debbie from Hi-Tor.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. How are you?
Well, hey, you know what? It's Friday, so how can you not be okay?
Debbie, this is Jeff. Thanks for calling. We certainly appreciate it, and we don't want you to feel like you're being beaten up over here. I don't know if you felt that way, but we really just want to get to the bottom of what's been obviously a trying couple of weeks for Hi-Tor, and with Orangetown leaving and with other towns, trying to figure out what to do. So if you could, just give us your perspective on what's been happening and where can we go from here.
So, well, yes, Orangetown left, and of course, Hi-Tor would love for the other, towns to stay. We have been a community, so Hi-Tor was incorporated 50 years ago, and it, took care of the Rockland County animals for 50 years. So we were, looking forward to building a new shelter and letting somebody, come in and take over for the next 50 years. So, of course, that's our goal. I know some of the things that have been out there. I don't know everything that's been said. That the shelter failed inspections, but it's because of the building, not because of, animal care or anything like that. So that's, a huge reason that we need a new building. Anybody that's been there knows it's time for a new building. The county's very supportive. They're ready to move forward with it as long as the towns are, on board. We're happy to meet with any of the towns and go over any issues that they have and, move forward, work this out. We did bring in a kennel manager who is a certified master dog trainer. He's AKC CGC evaluator. Some of the things that he will be instituting is kennel enrichment and also all the dogs we would work with daily on leash walking and commands to increase the success of adoption. They will be evaluated using the modified SAFER, which is the ASPCA standard for shelter dog evaluations. All the staff and volunteers will be trained. Safety protocols will be put in place, and to work with the shelter dogs to increase their, any issues that they may have with positive reinforcement. And then we brought in an executive director, and he has a very different philosophy probably from most people that are in shelters. They're usually focused on animals and the care of animals, which anybody should be, and he is as well. But he's also with the methodology that, you can't take care of the animals without the humans working together to make sure that we're taking care of the animals. So to move forward, we need, would like everybody to work together. Would like to come together and see what people are looking for and show them how far that Hi-Tor has come, in the last couple of months and years. So it's really something that we're looking to, I guess, just incorporate the community. The community's really kept Hi-Tor going for the last 50 years. They care about the animals, and we, there's COVID, so it's hard for people to come in, but it's really the volunteers that, and the staff that are the heart of keeping Hi-Tor going.
And full disclosure, I got my first dog when I was, I was probably 7 or 8 years old in 1976 when I got my dog from Hi-Tor. So I've got great memories of it. But and I understand that lots of people, while some of the concern, and there's a very special place in Rockland County in many people's hearts, no doubt. But they look to the idea of, well, just having a new building doesn't solve the problems. And like you said, you have this kennel manager. Is that a paid position?
It is. The kennel manager and the executive director are both paid positions.
Who funds you so that you can pay these people? Where does the funding come from?
So 40% of the funding comes from the contract that we have with the county, who is the contract with the municipalities. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the money comes from donations, bequests, some adoption fees, surrender fees, mostly donations. It's mostly the generosity of the community that really keeps it going. And fundraisers, but we really haven't had many fundraisers in the last year. Many nonprofits haven't.
How many people are on your board of directors?
So right now we have 8 people on our board.
Our listeners seem to feel and they come and they go very quickly. But I mean, how are you going to? You can't stop that. You know, these are very restless times to begin with.
Well, if you become on the board, you become a target. Apparently, you know, you get beat up a lot.
Why?
Well, because if anything goes wrong, it just, I guess, becomes the board's. You know, we're volunteers as well. You know, we don't work at the shelter. We're there to, you know, just help move it forward. And, you know, people are welcome to come and, you know, apply to come on the board. And, you know, we've had bigger boards, and, you know, sometimes the more people you have, the less you get done. So, you know, certain people have different ideas, and it's not easy. Not an easy, you know, we don't have a lot of money. There's times that, you know, we're concerned about our bills, and, you know, our medical costs go sky high. We have dogs that come in that really do need a lot of time and care, and they can't just get adopted into any home. They need the specific, perfect home for them to go. That's why we started reaching out to rescues and sanctuaries, and, you know, for people that are more qualified to help move those dogs into a better place. You know, the shelter's not supposed to be like a holding, you know, it's just a holding area. It's not supposed to be where they live. You know, we have a dog there that's been there for 4 years. You know, that's kind of like his home now. He has to learn to, you know, live someplace else. You don't want him to live there. That's not our goal. You know, our goal is to do the best we can with them and find a better place for them. Usually it's a home, but sometimes it's, you know, it has to be a sanctuary or a rescue. We have and our volunteers have been extraordinary with the time and effort they put into socializing the dogs and the cats. You know, they've also started doing board and train. We're 4 of our dogs right now. So we have this one volunteer who spends a lot of time, and he trains with some other volunteers, but he picks the dogs that are basically there the longest, and they work with issues, and then they send them to, I call it boot camp, but it's, you know, it's a dog training place where they work with them every day. And then once that, then they look for a home for them to be adopted to. So we have 4 dogs in that program right now.
What's your name?
Again, they can't just go to any home. They need to go to people that, you know, have experience with certain dogs. So it's a long process, and it could be sad and frustrating, and, you know, thinking that, you know,
yeah. Debbie,
like when they beat up I'm sorry.
I have a bunch of calls, and I'm going to warn people in advance. Keep it civil. Keep it a sensible question. And if there's too much emotion in it and too much rancor, you're going. I'm cutting you right off. All right, Marge, you're first. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. I have a question. How many paid positions are up there, including the dog trainer? They used to have a dog trainer that came in and did it for nothing. And can you explain what happened with the discrimination suit that went forward against Hi-Tor?
Okay, so we have about 20 employees that are on our salary right now. That's a lot of part-time positions. So we do have dog trainers that, like I said, the one gentleman who does the board and train, he's a dog trainer. He works with the dogs on the weekends.
How much does he get paid?
He's a volunteer. He doesn't get paid.
And what happened with the discrimination case?
So I'm not going to be speaking about any legal issues.
Okay. All right, next, WRCR. You don't want to give your name, but go ahead.
He's a dog trainer. He works with the dogs.
Hello.
Yes, I would like to know, there's rumors out there that there is a DA investigation, and I would like to know if that has to do with financial issues such as commingling, or if it has to do with issues related to animal care, because there are questionable things coming out in regard to both.
Okay, as I just mentioned, I'm not going to be speaking about any.
Are these ongoing, Debbie? Are these alleged cases that we're hearing about here? Are they, currently, have they not been resolved yet?
I'm not going to speak about any legal issues at all, whether they're true or false.
Okay. All right. Next, WRCR. Okay, Lisa, you're gone. I'm sorry, but. All right, we'll take another one here.
Some of the to piggyback on one of the questions that was earlier that I had earlier, you had suggested also the talk of some of the town supervisors that we've spoken to, and we've spoken to all of them, is that they're concerned that there needs to be a little bit more oversight from the county, or maybe more professional staff running the show. Is that something you agree with? Or did we lose Debbie?
Debbie, you still there? Oh, hold on. I don't know what happened.
Oh no.
Yeah, hold on. I did lose her for a second here. I'll try to get her back on. That was my fault. Debbie, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, ask her the question.
I'm sorry. Did you hear the question I asked or no?
No, I was disconnected.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I just asked, some of the town supervisors have brought up the idea that maybe the county needs to step in and provide more oversight than they have in years past, and that maybe there needs to be professionals running the program rather than just rely on mostly volunteers. Is that something you agree with, or do you think things are okay as is?
Well, the county, I have to say, since I've been there, has come in and they've checked out they've checked out any situation that I guess has been brought to them. They come in, they've been to the shelter, they ask for paperwork, they ask for reports. We provide them with anything that they ask for. We have many conversations with them, so it's not something that, they don't have we'll provide any information that they're looking for.
All right, I got so many calls on here, and I appreciate your patience. We'll take as many as we can. WRCR, good morning.
I have a question for Hi-Tor.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Give it to you or online?
Turn your radio or computer down, whatever you're listening on. Turn it down.
Oh, I won't be able to hear a response. Hold on.
You hear it through the phone, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Let me turn it off. Go ahead.
All right, your question. Go ahead.
Just want to ask her about the rumors about the volunteers being dismissed. What is that about? I personally was a volunteer that was dismissed, and I've done a lot of work with Hi-Tor in the last 2 years as far as fundraising, and I've moved 7 dogs to rescues and probably adopted 15 to 20 animals out of there. I was never given any reason as to why I was dismissed.
All right, I'm going to ask her Debbie, to answer the question. The lady has her radio up, and it'll be best if you answer her question. I cut her off now, and she'll hear it on her device, whatever it is.
We don't actually like to speak about the volunteers as well. We treat them as staff, and we don't like to speak about issues for staff or volunteers.
All right. WRCR, good morning.
Good morning. I was visiting a shelter down the shore, and they had the most beautiful building, at least exteriorly. And the reason why I was there is they had a secondhand shop, and they had lovely merchandise at the most reasonably priced pieces. And I asked about it, and they said that all the things they were selling were donations, and it really ran the shelter. That by having this secondhand shop, it financed the shelter. And I was wondering if any lucrative project like that had ever been entertained to finance the shelter.
So the thrift shop in Piermont actually does send us donations from their thrift shop. I believe they send it to other organizations as well. So that is very helpful. So if people know that, they can, I guess if they donate
that's
items.
Outside donations. I'm talking about a self-sufficient store on property, especially if they are building a new shelter, where it is staffed by volunteers, and literally, she said it financed the shelter.
Well, at this particular time, we don't have the space. We do actually have something in the office right now that we do sell some of the donations. It is a tiny little shelf that we call it. It's called the Hi-Tor thrift shop. But it doesn't have lots and lots of items. But it is an incredible idea, and I know a lot of other shelters actually make a lot of money from that.
Well, I suggest that if you can go forward, that
what the lady's offering is a viable solution to I think it sounds great. It's a viable solution to raise money, which obviously, no matter how much you've got, in the bank, so to speak, it's a way to, basically to have more capital as you go along and maybe ease tension over there a little bit.
No, it's a great idea. I agree.
Oh, okay.
100%.
I'm suggesting to look
I'm not
into it.
disagreeing. I'm agreeing
Right, Andrew,
100%.
thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am. Hello, WRCR? Oh, you're gone, so I'll try you. WRCR, good morning.
I'm sorry, me?
Yeah, go ahead, you.
I would like to know, she spoke very much about how they have staff and volunteers that they are very appreciative, yet they throw their volunteers out and they've been cutting staff hours and they don't take care of human resource type staff concerns that have been brought out there, and they cut hours without any kind of a warning. So how is that appreciative of volunteers and staff?
All right, listen on the radio then. Do you want to address that?
As I mentioned before, I won't be speaking about personnel issues.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. WRCR, good morning.
Hello. Thank you, Steve and Jeff, for giving us this forum. I'd like to ask, theoretically, if I were to donate, say, $1 to Hi-Tor, how much of that dollar would go to, say, salaries, and how much of that dollar would be, funneled into care for the dogs?
So all the donations that, they go into our account and we pay the salary out. We also pay.
What's your first name?
We have our costs.
What's your first name? I'm sorry, I'm trying to field these calls, Debbie, and I'm doing the best I can, but all right, we'll talk to Lee. Lee,
wait. Were you in the middle of giving the breakdown of where the money goes? You can finish that thought if you could, Debbie.
Yeah, as I was mentioning, so we do have the staff salaries that we pay, but we also have, like everybody else, we have the garbage that we pay, our O&R, for, telephone, internet. We have regular bills. We have our medical bills for the animals. A lot of food is donated, but we buy food, we buy medicine. So they get spayed and neutered, we pay for that. Hopefully some of that's recouped in the adoption fee, but it goes to pay whatever bills we need to pay.
Right.
So everything is taking care of the animals. So you're saying your dollar, how much of it goes to the care of the dog? So if I'm paying for the salary, I'm paying for people to take care of the dogs and the cats and the rabbits and whatever else we have here. So it's either to keep the lights on, to keep the heat on, or to keep the phones ringing to help get them adopted, to pay for the food, that, or their medical bill. So it goes all to them.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope that answers the caller's question. I
All
believe
right,
it should.
I think we have a Michelle on the line next. Michelle, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You talk to Debbie. Go ahead.
Well, she's not answering questions about staff and volunteers, so let's talk to what she did mention, which is the reports that they have failed on. She's saying that all they have failed on are the kennel conditions, and it's due to a new shelter. Yet for 4 years in a row, what they have failed on are the safety things where the paint is missing on the floors where the dogs are and exposed wire. So those are health concerns and something that should be addressed easily, apparently. Have nothing to do with the new shelter.
She's trying to answer you, Michelle. Go ahead, Debbie.
So the floor is part of the building. So that's part of the building that needs to be. So yes, it is coming up and actually the gates and all that, as they get fixed, and some things get fixed as we go along, but it's still part of the building.
The building that is being currently have funding set aside from not only Ken Zabrowski and the grant from the state, but the $7 million that's been bonded or being bonded by the county, is that going to be in the same location, or are you looking for a different location?
It's going to be in the same location. It's going to start to get built right behind the existing building.
Okay. And a lot of
But
those...
that has to do with upkeep. That has nothing to do with a new building.
Yeah, but when you have a dilapidated facility, all right, just forget it's Hi-Tor, forget anything. There are some real disgusting, even in this affluent county, buildings that have not been maintained properly because of maybe lack of funding or whatever it is, and the building starts falling apart, man. You can't just say, what are you doing about this? You can only do so much to a building after it gets to the point where you got to trash it and restore it. And that's
100% agree, but that's just paint that needs to be scraped off of the floor. They've brought the county in to do it, and they've never done it. So that's paint that's peeling, that's lifted, that the dogs can eat. I totally agree with you. They can't do a lot, but my point exactly you made is that is a fixable entity.
But they have come back to fix it, and some of them aren't fixed yet, and there's no dogs in those cages at this point. But again, it does have to be all.
It's been a failure for 4 years straight.
All right, thanks. I don't know. Let me ask you this. Do you have an attorney that you're dealing with? Because I know you didn't want to answer a lot of questions, and I'm not coming down on you for that. If you're being advised, I would talk to the attorney and be a little more forthright about things, because this just promotes consternation, in my opinion.
Hello? No, I know. I mean, we have been, even by other people, public relations people, that we should not comment, although it would be nice to be able to go out there and, so, for example, you put a picture of a cat that comes in and...
WRCR.
Oh, did you hang up on her? Ooh, did we cut her off again? Oh, I'm sorry. I think we cut her off again.
Who's that? Debbie?
Yeah, I think we cut her off again.
I'm sorry. There's just too many calls coming in. The system can't handle it. She'll call back. Maybe we'll,
And it's understandable that she can't talk about personnel issues and the lawsuits. They're legal issues that she's not the attorney. And it's unfortunate that those things happen, but those are things that for many different reasons, not just Hi-Tor, but other organizations are not permitted to talk about when it comes down to, you talk about legal issues, or if you're talking about personnel issues, those are just things that have to be kept private. And so I understand where she's coming from. When she says she can't talk about those things. I know those are questions we would love to have the answers to, but those are just some of those things that unfortunately she can't respond to.
Yeah, we're getting an overload on the phone calls, and that's why that people get cut off once in a while. You can blame me. It's all my fault. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Debbie, you back?
I'm back, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, but
thank you.
Just, maybe... And I appreciate you coming on with us. I think you've been as forthright as you can, and not commenting on what you were told not to comment on. But, when people want to know, and there's a high level of passion and emotion with regard to Hi-Tor and animals, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's really great, that the animals are cared for by so many people are concerned about. I mean, but, what can I say? People want answers, and I'm not blaming you.
No, I understand. I do.
And it would be great that in this, if you look in hindsight, and even putting COVID aside, if this were, of all things being equal, you would have been on track to have started a groundbreaking in your 50th anniversary year and a COVID-free year. I mean, this all could have been a much different discussion, unfortunately.
All right, I'm going to see if I can take two more calls, and then I promise we'll let you go. WRCR, good morning. Nobody there. Debbie, you still there?
Yes, thank you very much for your time.
All right, let me just give you this left. One hung up, so I'm going to give you Annie. One more. Annie, you're on.
Yes, I'd like to know is there's certain issues you can't address. Right about the current and previous issues with ringworm, where there was a ringworm outbreak, and they did not inform the public, nor did they inform the vet on the board, and why they were still bringing in people from the public to adopt at that point in time, and why when volunteers and staff asked questions, they were told to be quiet.
I don't know what you're referring to. Yes, we've had ringworm before. We've always been forthright with the fact that we had ringworm. So I don't really know what you're referring to.
And Lisa called. I'll just give you this one. Are you in favor of the town boards, or the towns, appointing board members? I hope I took that down right. The towns...
Yes, no, that's absolutely fine. They had asked that before, and they're welcome to come.
Those board members are non-voting and can be voted off by the board. So it's with stipulations.
All right. Well, I don't know if we've gotten anywhere with this. I really don't. I really appreciate and I understand the quandary that you're in with regard to questions, but there's a lot of, I want to see Hi-Tor continue. I've gotten 2 cats from there, and the last one is 20 years old, man, and
wow.
Still keeps going.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Take very good care.
Yeah, but I just hope that, even if you have to be joined by a legal official at some point when you come, and hopefully you will come back to talk to us, that they're going to be able to answer more questions. And that all we ask is civility on the part of the people who call. And maybe we can help you iron this out. Because
if you'd like to send us the questions, and I can respond to you with answers that we're able to answer.
Well,
I'd be happy to do that.
We kind of don't do it that way because we have a short, small staff here.
Okay.
What we'd like you to do is have, be able to furnish more answers. That's all. And if somebody legally is telling you not to, Get another lawyer. I'm telling you, I don't like to. I've been doing this probably too long, and to send people away more frustrated than they were before they called isn't right. You got to get more. You got to be ready to answer more questions. And
There's always been a concern of lack of transparency there, and this just shows it. Really.
How did you still get on? Who's this? Okay. Get off the phone. All right, Debbie. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say, like, if you ask about employees, I mean, any organization isn't going to talk to you about their employees. So
Right.
it's, there are some things that no matter what lawyer you get, they're all going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That most lawyers, especially when you're in the middle of a discussion of whether it's a lawsuit or a legal fight of some kind, yeah, they're always going to tell you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. They're liable to give them ammunition, and that's not advisable. So I understand that.
All right, people, you're overloading our phones. I think she fell off again, but this is why when we have Who Wants to Be a Volunteer and they come in, it's not this lovely new phone system either. It's the Verizon setup that we have here. If we have 4 incoming lines and you got 30 or 40 or 50 people trying to get through, it short circuits once in a while. But I think she was going to answer. She wasn't going to answer any more than she did.
And that's understandable. I mean, especially you're in the middle of litigation, and you've got personnel issues that are private. It's like HIPAA. You can't just give health information about people that don't give you permission to do that. You can't. So there are just some things that she's handcuffed on. She can't give that sort of information, but she did to the best of her ability, I suppose. Is she going to tell you everything you want to hear? Probably not. But I mean, I give her kudos for even coming on and answering the questions and taking all the calls.
Honest to God.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate that.
We didn't just drop you off. There's too many calls coming in, and the system won't handle it. 429-1700 is our number. I think we handle this as best we could. If you have any complaints, just call me and tell me. I'll hang up on you just like I hung up on her. I don't care. Doing the best we can. I want Hi-Tor to stay. I really, really want Hi-Tor to stay. There are some issues that have to be hammered out, but when you say I can't comment, and you hit a stone wall after a while, it's not doing anybody any good.
No, but people can't keep asking the same questions for her to answer when she can't answer them.
Well, they've been...
And I understand that. Now, I understand people's frustration with it. I also understand her inability to answer a question. It's not that she doesn't want to. There are legal ramifications to the things that she says. So she can't... If there's current litigation or personnel issues, she just can't say it.
Right.
And you can ask her over and over and over and over and over again. The answer's not going to change.
All right, we got a couple of calls still pending here. WRCR, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. It's Marge.
Yeah.
The fact that she mentioned they have 20 paid employees.
Part-time positions, right.
It doesn't matter. Where are the volunteers? I volunteered up there for 20 years. Ken and Don had about 5 paid employees, and the rest were all volunteers, and the shelter ran beautifully. Sure, we had our problems, but nothing like what's been going on in the last couple of years. This really has to be overseen by somebody that cares. They haven't sent out one flyer in the 10 years. I haven't been up there since 2010 when they got rid of Don and Ken.
Right.
But they haven't sent out one flyer. They haven't put out any kind of spreadsheet showing the salaries, the income. She talked about fundraising.
All right, listen, I got to go, Marge. I'm sorry, but there's a whole bunch. I'm not going to take any more calls here. We're almost at the top of the hour. County Executive comes on at 8:15. There's you next. Who's this?
It's Amy.
Amy, go ahead.
I wanted to know, one of the bigger concerns is that people do want Hi-Tor to continue. That's what I keep hearing here, but there needs to be either better regulation or more transparency. They are not allowing volunteers in like they used to, and their staff is not what it is. So is that a question for the county exec coming up after, or are there other issues?
She hit the nail on the head, Jeff. Transparency.
That's always been a lack there.
Huh? I don't disagree with that, but if there's a legal issue that they're dealing with, unfortunately they can't be as transparent as they probably would want to be on that particular topic.
Agreed, but there were other topics discussed which have nothing to do with transparency and legalities, which are the conditions of the kennels. There are pictures that are circulating out there of the paint peeling off the kennel floors.
Yeah, but
I know. That
all right.
does not.
I got to go. One more. WRCR. Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah.
I just have a question. If a county building is failing an inspection, why is the shelter being
What's your name?
responsible? If the police department headquarters was failing, would you blame the chief of police?
Wait, what did he say?
I'm not sure because it's not technically. It's not
It's
a
a-
county building.
it's a-
It's not
it's
like
a
the
count-
same building.
It's a county building on county property.
Yeah. I'm screening calls. What did he say? I didn't.
He asked why if it's a county building that's in such disarray, why isn't it being repaired? Is basically your question, right?
You know what? What's your
I
first
will
name?
ask Ed about that.
Ed Day is coming on right after the 8 o'clock news. We'll ask that. Can you stay listening?
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Amy, you're the last one.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment. I know Debbie was just on, and she commented about the ringworm, but I am a volunteer at Hi-Tor, and I actually got ringworm. I was at the shelter. There was no notification about a ringworm outbreak. So to say that you're honest and forthcoming and you're being transparent with that information is really not true, because I was highly affected, and nobody commented to me. I wrote letters to the board. I told them what happened, and they're like, oh, no, we informed you. Nothing happened. It wasn't only until I said, well, what do I need to do to get a response, that they finally sent out an email. But to not be forthcoming with information for someone that's a president of the board is just absolutely wrong. There was a serious outbreak. Volunteers were not even told. So you can't be a president of a board and not be forthcoming to your volunteers.
You're right. All right, thanks.
That could be an issue. That's one thing to be forthcoming on the media. It's another thing to be forthcoming to your employees.
You know, I used to have a college professor when he gave a very lectures that were extremely difficult to comprehend. And when the class was over, he would say, what have we learned this morning, gentlemen? One kid, nothing. Except, and he said, what do you mean? He says, only thing we learn is how to fall asleep when you do a lecture. That's how confused I am right now, because I think we spun wheels, but we did the best we could. Maybe there's another way we can have a forum, sponsored. If somebody is so passionate about this, we can get an advertiser to sponsor a whole hour on the show, on the station, maybe 2 hours. Have people have a forum where ideas can be exchanged, and maybe that'll work. I don't know. AM 1700 WRCR Ramapo, WRCR.com. World and National News next.